Why some people become wiser with age, and others just grow older. As the years pass, something remarkable happens to some people. Their eyes seem to see deeper into life. Their words carry a quiet authority that comes not from power, but from understanding. Their presence feels like a warm shelter in a storm. These are the ones who, as they age, become wiser. But not everyone follows this path. Many simply grow older. They collect years the way a tree collects rings, but without growing in insight or compassion. They grow more rigid, not more open, more bitter, not more kind. And perhaps the most sobering truth of all is that the difference between those two paths is not luck, nor is it genetics. It is choice. In this video, I want to walk with you through what science, real-life experience, and decades of psychological research tell us about the factors that separate the wise from the merely aged. And if you stay with me until the end, I'll share the simple, daily practices that can help you ensure that your years make you not only older, but better. If you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Here, every week, we explore how to live with vitality, meaning, and wisdom, especially in the later chapters of life. And if you find something valuable today, share it with someone who could use the encouragement. The myth of automatic wisdom. There's a comforting belief that as we grow older, wisdom comes naturally, like gray hair or wrinkles. But research tells a different story. Studies from Harvard, Stanford, and the University of Berlin all show that while life experience is a necessary ingredient for wisdom, it is not sufficient. Two people can live through similar events: loss, joy, hardship, success, and yet one emerges more compassionate, insightful, and open-minded, while the other becomes resentful, narrow, and bitter. Why? Because wisdom is not just what happens to you. It's how you interpret and respond to what happens to you. Think of it this way. Life is like a vast library. Every year, you're given more books, experiences, lessons, memories. But not everyone takes the time to read those books, reflect on them, and apply their lessons. Some just stack them on the shelves of their mind, gathering dust. The role of reflection. One of the most consistent findings in gerontology, the study of aging, is that reflection is the soil in which wisdom grows. Reflection is more than memory. It's the practice of looking back at your life with curiosity and honesty, not just nostalgia or regret. In Sweden, researchers followed a group of adults in their 70s and 80s over a 10-year period. They found that those who regularly engaged in reflective practices, journaling, deep conversations, spiritual contemplation, reported higher life satisfaction, better emotional health, and, yes, were rated as wiser by their peers. Reflection is what allows you to notice patterns, to connect the dots between your experiences and the larger truths they reveal. Without it, time passes, but growth stalls. I think of Eleanor, a retired nurse I met in Minnesota. In her kitchen, she kept a small notebook labeled lessons. Every week, she'd jot down one thing she had learned, sometimes from a conversation, sometimes from a mistake, sometimes from watching her garden grow. Over the years, that notebook became a treasure trove of insights, not just for her, but for her children and grandchildren. Curiosity, the fountain that doesn't dry up. If reflection is the soil, curiosity is the water. Those who become wiser with age keep asking questions. They remain fascinated by the world, even as it changes in ways that sometimes feel foreign. Curiosity protects against one of the most dangerous tendencies in later life, the belief that we already know enough. The moment we stop being curious, we start shrinking our world. I once spoke with a man named James, a retired engineer in his late 70s. He had decided to learn how to code not because he needed to, but because he wanted to understand the world his grandchildren were growing up in. "It keeps my mind alive," he told me. And more importantly, it kept his relationship with his grandchildren alive. Too, they bonded over projects and ideas, speaking the shared language of curiosity. Science backs this up. Curiosity stimulates the brain's reward centers, boosts memory, and even appears to slow cognitive decline. Emotional regulation, the quiet strength. Another hallmark of those who grow wiser is emotional regulation, the ability to feel emotions deeply without being controlled by them. Aging brings its share of challenges: health issues, loss of loved ones, changes in independence. Without emotional regulation, these challenges can turn into constant stress, eroding both health and happiness. Psychologists have found that older adults who practice mindfulness, gratitude, or even simple breathing techniques handle stress better and recover more quickly from emotional setbacks. They don't deny their feelings, they acknowledge them, but then choose their response deliberately. Think about a storm at sea. Emotional regulation is not about making the sea calm. It's about steering the ship skillfully through the waves. A story of two paths. I want to tell you about two men, both in their late 70s, who lived in the same small town in Vermont. Both had worked hard their whole lives, raised families, and retired with enough to live comfortably. The first, Harold, spent his days reminiscing about the past, but always through the lens of what had gone wrong. He complained about the way things are now, avoided new experiences, and saw the younger generation as foolish. Over the years, his circle of friends grew smaller, not because they passed away, but because they withdrew from his constant negativity. The second, David, also loved to talk about the past, but his stories were often followed by a laugh, or by a reflection on what he had learned. He embraced technology enough to FaceTime with his grandkids, joined a local hiking group, and volunteered at the library to read to children. When asked about aging, he said, "It's just another stage to explore. I want to see what's here before it's gone." Both men aged, but only one grew. The influence of perspective. What makes David's approach so different from Harold's? One word: perspective. Perspective is the lens through which we interpret the events of our lives. While Harold focused on what was lost, David focused on what remained and what could still be discovered. In cognitive psychology, this is known as cognitive reappraisal, the ability to reframe a situation in a way that changes its emotional impact. People who master this skill often experience greater resilience and report a higher sense of purpose, even in the face of adversity. Perspective is not about ignoring pain or pretending difficulties don't exist. It's about holding them alongside gratitude for what's still possible. For example, when a close friend moves away, a person with a limited perspective might think, "Now I'm alone." A person with a broader perspective might think, "This is my chance to strengthen other friendships and visit a new place." The role of relationships in growing wiser. One of the most consistent predictors of emotional well-being in later life is the quality of our relationships. A 75-year Harvard study of adult development found that good relationships, not wealth, fame, or even perfect health, are what keep people happier and healthier as they age. But there's more. Relationships also play a crucial role in developing wisdom. Other people serve as mirrors, reflecting back our strengths and weaknesses. They challenge our assumptions, broaden our perspectives, and give us opportunities to practice empathy and patience. However, the kind of relationships that nurture wisdom are not just numerous, they are deep. A wise person often chooses a smaller circle of meaningful connections over a large crowd of superficial ones. Consider Maria, a retired teacher in her early 80s. She made it a point to invite a different neighbor for tea each month. She listened more than she spoke, asking thoughtful questions. Over time, she became a beloved figure in her community, not because she gave advice freely, but because she gave her presence freely. The trap of rigid thinking. One of the greatest obstacles to wisdom is rigid thinking, the belief that our way of seeing the world is the only correct one. As we age, it's natural to develop habits, routines, and opinions. But when those harden into unshakable certainties, growth stops. Rigid thinking can take many forms: refusing to try new foods, dismissing unfamiliar ideas, or assuming that all change is bad. It's often driven by fear, the fear of being wrong, of feeling out of place, or of losing control. Breaking free from this trap requires humility. It means being willing to say, "I might be mistaken," or "I don't know enough about this yet." It means staying open to learning, even from those much younger than ourselves. I once met an 85-year-old woman named Clara who loved attending lectures at a local university. She laughed when she told me, "Half the time, I don't understand what they're talking about. But every time, I leave knowing something I didn't know before." Clara's humility and openness made her one of the wisest and most joyful people in the room. The science of neuroplasticity in aging. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and form new connections, does not disappear with age. In fact, studies from the University of California, San Francisco, have shown that older adults who challenge their brains with new activities can form just as many new neural connections as younger adults. The catch: the brain needs novelty and challenge. Passive routines do little to stimulate growth. Reading the same kind of book, talking to the same people, and doing the same activities every day may feel comfortable, but they do not stretch the mind. This is why learning new skills, traveling to new places, and meeting new people can be so powerful in later life. They push the brain to adapt, strengthening memory, creativity, and problem-solving skills, all of which contribute to wisdom. Turning experience into insight. Experience alone is like raw material. It has potential, but it needs to be shaped. Insight is the polished product, formed when we process our experiences, extract meaning, and apply that meaning to future situations. The key here is intentionality. It's easy to drift through life without pausing to ask, what does this teach me? Wise individuals make that question a habit. They journal about it, discuss it with trusted friends, or meditate on it. One of my favorite examples comes from a World War II veteran named Samuel. In his 90s, he spoke to a group of high school students. He didn't dwell on the horrors of war, though he could have. Instead, he told stories of kindness. He witnessed the soldier who shared his last piece of bread, the nurse who stayed up all night caring for strangers. His insight? People are capable of incredible goodness, even in the worst circumstances. Look for it, and you'll find it. The intersection of wisdom and purpose. Wisdom doesn't just grow in isolation, it often grows alongside a sense of purpose. Purpose gives meaning to our experiences and motivates us to keep learning and contributing. Research from Cornell University found that older adults with a strong sense of purpose reported higher levels of life satisfaction, lower levels of depression, and even lived longer. Purpose can come from many sources: family, creative work, volunteering, mentoring, or faith. What matters most is not the size of the purpose, but its sincerity. Planting a community garden, tutoring a child, or making art can be just as meaningful as leading a large organization. The danger of complacency. One of the reasons some people simply grow older without growing wiser is complacency, the sense that I've done enough learning, enough changing. Complacency is like a slow leak in a tire. You don't notice it right away, but over time, it leaves you deflated. To guard against complacency, it helps to set small, ongoing goals. These could be intellectual, like reading a challenging book each month; physical, like walking an extra mile each week; or relational, like calling a different family member each Sunday. The point is to keep moving, mentally and emotionally. The gentle power of reflection. Many people mistake wisdom for quick decision-making. In truth, wisdom often requires the opposite: slowing down, reflecting, and considering the broader impact of our choices. Reflection allows us to connect past experiences with present situations and future consequences. Reflection doesn't need to be complicated. It can be as simple as sitting quietly for 10 minutes each evening, asking yourself 3 questions. 1. What went well today? 2. What challenged me today? 3. What lesson can I carry forward from this? When practiced regularly, reflection becomes a form of mental gardening. You pull out the weeds' harmful thoughts, outdated beliefs, and nurture the flowers' kindness, understanding, patience. Learning from different generations. One powerful way to gain perspective is to interact with people of different ages. Each generation views the world through a unique lens, shaped by the historical events, technologies, and cultural norms of their time. Older adults have the advantage of life experience, while younger people often bring fresh ideas and adaptability. When these perspectives meet in genuine dialogue, both sides grow. I remember a community project in Oregon where retirees worked alongside high school students to build a playground. The younger volunteers brought energy and new design ideas, while the older ones offered problem-solving skills and patience. By the end, they hadn't just built a playground, they had built mutual respect and friendships that crossed generations. The role of gratitude in wisdom. Gratitude shifts our focus from what is missing to what is present. Neurological research from the University of Southern California shows that gratitude activates brain regions associated with moral cognition and emotional regulation, both key components of wisdom. In practical terms, gratitude helps prevent bitterness from taking root as we age. It keeps the heart open and receptive, even when faced with loss or change. You can cultivate gratitude through simple habits: keeping a gratitude journal, writing thank you notes, or telling someone you appreciate them. Over time, these small acts change not only how you feel, but how you interpret life itself. The myth of automatic wisdom. It's important to address a common misconception. Wisdom is not guaranteed with age. The years alone do not automatically grant insight or understanding. What matters is how those years are used. Think of it like a garden. Time will pass whether you plant seeds or not, but only those who tend the soil and nurture growth will have a harvest. In the same way, only those who consciously seek to learn, reflect, and adapt will truly grow wiser. Practical steps to cultivate wisdom at any age. To summarize the principles we've explored, here are practical, science-backed steps to keep growing wiser no matter your age. Stay curious. Learn something new every month, whether it's a skill, a subject, or a perspective. Seek diverse relationships. Spend time with people from different backgrounds, cultures, and generations. Practice reflection. Set aside regular time to think deeply about your experiences. Embrace humility. Be open to admitting when you're wrong or don't know something. Give back. Use your experiences to help others, whether through mentoring, volunteering, or simple acts of kindness. Nurture gratitude. Regularly acknowledge the good in your life. The heart of the matter. Ultimately, the difference between those who grow wiser and those who simply grow older comes down to intention. Wisdom is not a passive result of living long, it is an active process of living deeply. It means showing up for life with open eyes, open ears, and an open heart. It means letting both joy and sorrow teach you, allowing each season of life to shape you into someone more compassionate, more resilient, and more grounded in what truly matters. So as you reflect on your own journey, ask yourself, am I merely adding years to my life, or am I adding life to my years? The choice is yours, and it is never too late to choose differently. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to stay with us on this journey. Subscribe to our channel, so you never miss another conversation about living with health, joy, and purpose. Share this video with someone who might need encouragement today, and tell us in the comments, what's one lesson you've learned in the past year that has shaped you? Your story matters here. Your wisdom matters here. And your continued growth matters not only for you, but for everyone whose life you touch. Thank you for being part of our community and for giving us your time and attention. We look forward to hearing your thoughts and sharing more lessons together in future videos. Until then, may your days be filled with curiosity, kindness, and the quiet confidence that comes from a life well lived. Follow our other videos to receive more valuable lessons. Thank you for listening to our story. Wishing you a new day full of good things.